And so Ibrahim, our noble father, looks up to the skies and he searches for that noble light, that truth, that never-ending, that which has no beginning and no end, the creator, the source of all that is, the ultimate truth. And he looks to the stars and he sees them twinkling and he wonders. And then he looks to the moon and the moon sets, or doesn't say full. And then he looks to the sun and he asks these questions and he wants to know, what is the true Lord? The true Lord is, as we know, unseen. As you are listening to the very series as a fundamental of faith, that the things we talk about that are the fundamentals of faith, God, the angels, the jinns, the other dimensional beings, all of the prophets that have come before, the scriptures that are lost in all the civilizations, heaven and hell and the day of judgment and all the whole plan. These are only things that become seen by those who believe, those who are having the pure hearts and intent. And Ibrahim goes on that light worker journey, that path. The essence of those questions, my brothers and sisters, is that if you understand that he asked the question, and oh, brothers and sisters, does the true person who seeks not find? Does this true heart that yearns, does God leave them unanswered? No. If Ibrahim asked the question, you know he gets the answers to what it means to see all these stars, to what it means to understand the cycle of the moon, to what is the deeper meaning of the sun. And Ibrahim is the first of the sons of Adam who understands some of the spiritual meanings and figures it out by the questioning that he asks. You have to understand the questions and the reason why that is mentioned in a larger context. And then you begin to see that he went on that spiritual journey and became aware of what is going on in the heavens beyond earth. Now, if you understand that Ibrahim began to understand by his questioning the very essences of not just this dimension, but all of the dimensions. And that is why he is considered the father of all of the three faiths and the father of all of the prophets of the light. And we refer to him as the father, alayhi salam, peace and blessings be upon him. Then you have to understand what it means when we say that Ibrahim understood, our father Abraham understood the process of the ascension and the higher dimensions. Now, is he the first? Well, because you're watching Hot Conflict, and I always like to give you a little bit of interesting information, and I always tell you things that are right there, open, obvious, that are plain for anybody who goes seeks. But when I tell you them in context, then you wonder, that is a little bit strange. Ibn Kathir, one of the most well-known mufassir, or explainers of Quran and tafsir, talks about this story in his collection of stories of the prophets, where he says, when Ibrahim discovers this process and this understanding of the heavens and realizes that there is more going on beyond the earthly realm, is he the first one to do this? No, the book says. The stories of the prophets of Ibn Kathir, he tells you, the first one to do this is not Ibrahim. The first one to do this is Iblis, or Lucifer. See, Lucifer, the one who we consider a reptilian of the jinn, is the first to recognize ascension. It's an important thing going back to our earlier concept of the court of Adam and the higher realms and the prime directive. Lucifer was the one who achieved the highest levels in the highest realm prior to the creation of Adam. Where Abraham ends up getting, we'll talk about a little bit later for those of you who know. It's very important that Lucifer is the first one to recognize ascension. and recognize and ascend beyond the earthly realm or the humanoid level and go up further than that. It's important that we understand that, because many people in the UFO disclosure community who refer to reptilians often talk about the fact, and there is some information to suggest that not only did they ascend to the higher realms before us, and that anybody who's been following this series understands that the jinns all were before mankind or the children of Adam, but that many in the UFO community are suggesting that the reptilian race was possibly here on this planet that we call Earth and ascended from here. And it'll be interesting to see what some of my brothers and sisters of the light tell us about the reptilians and some of the Lizzies, as my brothers and sisters from the Pleiadians call them. It'll be a little bit interesting to see how exactly things played out and get a little bit more information on some of the other races. But back to Abraham, we see that Abraham becomes the leading character on the planet and then becomes the father of the faith and the central figure, bloodline and lineage-wise, for all of the light workers that are then assigned by the Creator to continue out our plan of ascension on this earth. Now, if you understand some of these concepts, then you understand that what in Islam is referred to as the tablet of Abraham, that Abraham had a tablet within which was the understanding of not just the stars, but the stars, the sun, the moon, and a deeper understanding of the creation of the whole universe and possibly the multiverse, that Ibrahim's tablet of structure of the organization that Allah has created of not just this planet but all of the planets becomes fundamental knowledge that is then established on the earth. Now, if you understand the reference that Ibn Kathir makes to Lucifer or Satan, then you realize that this knowledge existed with many of the other races, and that the pattern of planets changing and that their final change or coming of season of darkness or destruction or rebirth or cycles of regrowth is a natural system, is known throughout the whole universe with many beings. And that's why they have gone to many other planets and overseen ascension processes, and many civilizations understand this. And this is why many of the ancient temples and monuments refer to spatial and astronomical constellations or series of depictions of star positions to make us relate to changes in the planet. When we refer to some of the more recent scriptures, we have to understand that what we are saying from an Islamic point of view is that many of the ancient societies have strangely built in warnings of the coming changes to the earth. Now, because we're going to go from talking about Ibrahim and the time of ascension straight into 2012, and I know many of you have been waiting for this information, we have to put the 2012 subject into context with ascension. And now many people would think that the 2012 conversation should come way later in the story, and there's a reason why I'm mentioning it now. I'm mentioning it now because you need to understand the context of 2012 with Abraham to see how it relates, and put 2012 in context so that you understand it now to avoid the concepts of fear and catastrophe and destruction that many people are falsely attributing to this whole process. Like we've been trying to tell you, and like all people of the light are telling you, this whole thing is about the process. And so Ibrahim, our father of the light, goes on this process, and he learns, and he goes through the trials and tribulations, and he goes through the test with his father, of course, and destroys all the statues and vehemently opposes paganism and declares his open status as a pillar of the light and a messenger of truth.